Hello, American Farmsteaders. This is Donna.
And this is Jenny.
And we are here to talk to you about all things farm and how to farm like a girl.
That's right. Today we're actually going to talk about gardening a little bit because it is that time of year. It is, well, actually it's March 2nd now. So it's gardening fever time.
Definitely.
Yes, because we have about, maybe 13 days until our last frost?
Yeah, I don't think we're getting any more though.
No, I don't think we are either. Every day I check the 10-day forecast. Is it in there?
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're in the clear this year.
I think we are too. I may go ahead and start maybe dropping some bean seeds in the garden.
Yeah, beans and squash and okra for me
Yep.
are the things I usually wait the last to do. Those that are the least cold tolerant that I like to put in last.
Yep. So yeah, we thought that we would talk today a little bit about our best gardening tips or just some general good information on maybe how to get started. Just some things that you might want to think about ahead of time before you go ahead and get your hands in the dirt.
Yay. But before that, we want to talk a little bit about what's going on in our farm. So what's going on with you lately, Jenny?
Oh gosh, it has been busy on the farm this past week. We not only are we getting ready for gardening season, but late winter and early springtime is also the start of our meat chicken season. Mm-hmm. And we try to get in at least a few batches of meat birds before it gets super hot because nobody likes to process chickens in hot weather.
No, and the chickens don't
And the
really
chickens
thrive
don't
either.
like it either. No,
Yeah.
they don't. So we try to get those in early in the year so it's not so hot. But this last batch of meat birds that we've got have just not been great.
Yeah, us either.
Yeah, they've had a lot of leg issues early on, which is common with the Cornish crosses, but you usually don't see it until they're
Much older.
Yeah, much older and close to butcher age. But for whatever reason, this batch has had some issues. So we've been dealing with a lot of losses there, which is never fun. And they've been kind of high maintenance.
Yes, I agree. So listeners, Jenny and I recently ordered from the same hatchery, completely separate orders.
Yes.
So we don't know if they're out of the same hatch or not, but they came in on the exact same day.
Yep.
And if you're unsure how that works, you can mail order your chicks and order them online or by phone, and they ship them in the mail, and they come to you as 1 to 3 day old chicks.
Right.
And so, we have our little protocol that we do when they come in, and, you dip their little beaks in water, make sure they can find the water, and you start them on some good feed and make sure your temperature's good and they're in clean bedding and all of that.
Right.
And we've both done all of that. This is not our first round of meat chicks we've ever done. We've both done several. And we've raised probably thousands of meat birds in the past together now.
Yes.
And
we've never had this problem.
Never, but I had a much smaller order than Jenny had. But still, we're both at about a third of our losses. A third of our birds are lost.
Absolutely.
And and mine are the same thing. It seems to be leg problems. They just sit down and quit walking.
Yep.
It's really weird.
Yep.
You might see that if you let them go too long.
Right.
And I say go too long as to grow out for too long. And, they're not designed to be big and old, that their legs can't handle it. But they're doing this. They were doing this on day 2.
Yes. Mine started on day 2. I've had mine for almost 2 weeks now. And out of that whole 2 weeks, I've had maybe 2 days where I did not have one die.
Ugh.
Out of 14 days. So every day it's been,
what am I going to find when I
what
walk
am I
out
gonna
there?
find when I go walk into the chicken brooder? So that's not been fun. So I'm hoping that maybe we're getting close to turning the corner and maybe the ones that are still there will be fine from now on. I didn't have any die on me this morning, or last night.
Score.
Right, score. So hopefully we're turning the corner on that, and hopefully the rest of the batch will just grow out good. Mine are almost ready to come out of the brooder, and I don't know, maybe some fresh grass and being out in the sunshine might do them some justice.
Yeah.
Who knows? It might be
Yeah.
worse. I don't know.
I'm always excited to get them out on grass.
Yes.
So maybe
Yeah.
that'll perk them up.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. So that's about all that's been going on in my farm. That's been all consuming this past week. Other than our lamb, we had a lamb born maybe
Yay.
about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and a little ram lamb, and he is so cute, and he's doing really good. And the mama is such a good mama.
Good. That's always good.
He's actually out. The little lamb is out with the cows even right now.
Wow.
So feed time is pretty interesting.
With mama.
Yes.
Okay.
He's with mama, but they're in with the cows. So he's learned very quickly that he needs to stay back.
They're pretty resilient little creatures when they're little.
Yeah.
I find most anything that we have, when they're that young, a little mishap, they can usually bounce back from pretty quickly.
Yeah. So
Cool.
that's it on my farm. What about what's going on around here?
I'm gonna be a bit of a downer. To not only do we have losses with the meat chicks, well, let's see. We had a dog run over by a car.
Oh gosh, that's right.
Gosh, it was horrible. So that was just a few days ago. The next day we have a new to us milk cow. She's in milk, but I haven't had the opportunity to milk her yet because she has a giant calf on her still. And so he's getting all the milk, and we separated him on Sunday. And he didn't like that one bit. She was fine. She was totally fine
Right.
with it.
She's like, thank you.
She does not want to nurse him anymore. And so, in fact, they have been reunited because he jumped the fence in the middle of the night.
That's the one that jumped the fence.
Yeah,
Oh my
which
gosh.
is more of a pain than you guys can even imagine if you're not familiar with cows. Once they learn that they can jump a fence,
Yes.
it's game over.
Yes.
They will always jump a fence. So
Yes.
we have some backup strategies to implement, but it just is another like, dang, that kind of stinks thing on the farm, but it's not the end of the world.
Yes.
And then this morning I went out we have 2 little bottle lambs that I'm feeding, and one of them is dealing with, I don't know, some kind of illness. I don't know what it is. Sheep are new to me. I have a couple of ideas, but I don't know for sure. So after we wrap up today, I will be meeting the vet in town so that he can get a good once over. So medicating him with everything I've got, everything I can. Basically, I told the vet, I said, I'm so afraid to lose him at this point. Like, I've got nothing else to lose. I'll throw everything under the sink at him. And he said, I agree. So hopefully we can save him. But he's not doing well today.
Hopefully so.
Yeah.
That would be a bummer.
But on a positive note, I have entirely too many tomato and pepper seeds started. And they look gorgeous.
That's awesome.
I've been doing a little bit of walkthroughs in the garden that just kind of like assessing how many beds do I have here and what do they need. And I bought some compost that I hate. I hate this compost I bought. It's
The one that I bought?
No, I didn't.
I was going to say, I really love it.
No, I went to the big box store next door to the one that you bought from, and that was a big mistake. I shouldn't have, but I got antsy and wanted instant gratification.
Okay.
And I'm paying for it now. So there's a little life lesson
What's wrong
from
with
the
it?
garden. It's just like, it's so, I think it's just all manure based.
Okay.
And so it's like clay. Like it dries hard. So I'm going to have to still add something else. I'm going to have to get more compost to put on top. It's really crappy.
Do you think mixing it like with like a real fine mulch or something might help?
Something. I mean, it almost is like it needs sand, which is like, okay.
Well, you have plenty of that.
No shortage of that. Right. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to order a pallet of what you bought from the other store next door.
Right.
And just put that on top. And I mean, it's not going to be bad in the long run. Whatever I put in there is going to help build the soil, which is desperately needed
Yeah.
here with new gardens being set up.
Right, but you
So,
might just have to top it with something that way it's not drying out.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, I've been doing my walkthroughs and have found some volunteer things, and so that's
Cool.
fun. Yeah, I love volunteer plants more than anything.
They are so fun
Yeah.
and so productive.
Yes, and
Yes.
hardy.
Yes, they are.
Anytime I find a volunteer in the garden, I'm like, grow, baby, grow. I'll do everything I can to stake that one tomato or whatever I have to do to it. But the funny thing is, they don't usually need a lot of care.
No, they don't. And I mean, it is, we'll start the same thing, the same kind of tomato plant from seed and have to baby it and love it and protect it and stake it and help it. And then you have just this random rogue tomato that pops up out of nowhere and ends up doing really well.
Right. Better in a lot of cases. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We've saved
course.
some really good tomato seeds from our volunteer tomato plants.
Perfect.
And those do really well. Restarted in the garden the following year. So,
Yeah, so that's one thing we can talk about real quick is volunteer plants, and it'll be a quick garden tip. When you save your own seeds, you are saving from a plant that not only has it grown in your zone, but it's proven to grow perfectly right where it came out in that little microclimate of that particular garden bed, even like down to a couple of square feet,
right.
And so they're always going to do better if they're open pollinated seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep.
I just started some cucumber seeds inside this morning because I'm so excited. I cannot wait to get stuff in the ground. So I'm like, I have peat pellets that I can use. So I started a bunch and probably started too many, just like my peppers and just like my tomatoes.
But is there such a thing?
No, there's not, because a really good friend of mine was just saying, I'm so far behind. I feel like I'm not going to be ready in time. And no, you're going to be just fine.
I feel like that every
you.
year. Every year I feel like I'm late.
I know. Well, and I think that you go online and you see how so-and-so's doing it and so-and-so's so successful at it.
Right.
And this is what she's doing and I'm not doing it that way. So therefore I'm not doing it right.
Right.
Which is totally wrong.
Absolutely.
Totally wrong.
And a little bit of a pet peeve.
Yes. Because what might work well for me might not work well for you.
Right.
And vice versa. And even if it doesn't work out well for me and I do something, well, it's not a failure because I learned something from it. So
Exactly.
You try it and it's either going to do great or it's not. And if it's not, you're going to know. You're going to know what you want to do different next time.
Sure.
And so, don't ever feel like you're behind or, you're too late to get started, because you're never too late to get started. And
especially where we are.
Right. Well, and even if you're in a place at your house where you might not have an area for like a huge garden, or maybe you're in a rental house.
Right.
And maybe you can't put in a garden. Maybe you don't want to invest the money putting it into the ground in a rental house. Well, I mean, you could always start something super small, like actually at the property that we were at before, where we live now, we were renting while we were in waiting. And I did a little pallet garden. Tori got some.
I remember that.
Yeah, Tori got some little heat treated pallets. And I filled those jokers up with topsoil, and we actually grew a little bit of food. And I put them, they were on like a concrete slab even.
Right.
They weren't even on the ground.
Right.
And I just, I think I had a trash bag under it or something to help kind of keep the soil in, and put topsoil in it. And that's what we did because that's what we were able to do. So, I think that even if you dream big, if you can't do what you're dreaming now, do something smaller.
Just do something.
Just do something.
Yeah.
You know, start small, start with a pot. A lot of garden stuff does well in containers.
It does.
You know, you can do cherry tomatoes on your back porch or bell peppers.
And there's a lot of varieties that are, you know, and they're even labeled as patio
Dwarf.
vegetables. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or, you know, bush style, whatever.
Yeah.
Bush style lemon tree, like lemon bush.
Right. Right.
Yeah. That have real shallow root systems and don't need a whole lot of care and stay small. And I think those are really good varieties for people who are in that situation where only containers are going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, you could do something super basic like a pallet, or if you wanted to get a little fancier, you can build yourself a little raised bed. And you don't really need a ton of soil to fill your raised bed with either. You know, if you have like a lot of space to kind of fill up, you can start by just loading it up with like some tree branches, or, you know, you don't want to go with like giant logs, but something to just kind of fill up the space in the bottom if your bed is really deep. And that way you're not spending a ton of money on your dirt. And over time, those logs are just going to break down and help to feed your plants.
Right.
So,
Right.
but you don't have to have a super deep bed to grow stuff in. I think there's very few things that need a really deep bed. Like okra needs a deep bed. Some tomatoes might need a deep bed.
Yeah. I mean, if you're planting like root things, you're going to want a deeper bed.
Right. But, you know, things like beans and peas and lettuces and, you know, stuff like that, it's all very, very shallow root systems. So you don't have to go super big with them.
Right. Right. So we kind of compiled some tips, some garden tips.
Yep.
And we have some that are specific and more practical of, hey, tell me how to plant XYZ. And then some general ones. So we're kind of on the general train. Do you want to keep up with that, or do you want to switch gears?
Yeah, well, you know, outside of, okay, so say you want to do not a raised bed. Say you want to do an in-ground bed. How do you start an in-ground bed?
Oh, okay.
You know, if it was me, I mean, the way that I like to start an in-ground bed is just to pick your area, make sure it's full sun, and cover it with a tarp.
Okay.
You know, if you've got a grassy area, just cover it up with a tarp, throw some blocks around the edge of your tarp, and leave your tarp there. If you can, if you have enough time, you know, for at least 4 to 6 weeks, maybe even 8 weeks. A lot of people will even pick their spot in the winter and go ahead and cover it up in the winter, and then uncover it a few weeks before spring season opens to go ahead and start taking out that dead grass. If you wanted to at that point, you could do like an initial till on it, so you could build your rows. But then from that point on, I would probably stop tilling. That's what we did with ours.
Yeah,
anyway.
Jenny and I have discovered no-till gardening, and we're pretty happy with that.
Yeah. It's so much easier.
It is so much easier. Now, I mean, here's the tip that I kind of have jotted down to share too, is like, don't be married to any one way to say that this is the way.
No.
Because there are going to be some circumstances where I need an area tilled regularly for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I can't think of them off the top of my head, but you know,
well, like
be willing to try different things is my
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, where I do my potatoes.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
You know, that's not a no-till bed because I'm hilling those potatoes.
Right.
So
Right.
that area constantly kind of gets messed with.
There's certainly a place for many, many different methods. And we use a lot of different methods. So we've got some raised beds, we've got some in-ground.
You've got some in-ground.
Yeah.
Same here. And I mean, I kind of like the variety.
Me too.
You know, and it keeps the garden fresh, I think, too, because every garden season, you know, you're essentially trying to rotate your crops, even though that can be kind of hard in a home garden, I think. But it makes the garden new every year. It's like, oh, where am I going to put my tomatoes this year? You know?
Well, there's the whole aspect of garden design comes in.
Yes.
And you get to be a little bit more creative and choosy and that kind of thing.
Yep. And that's fun. So those are pretty much my tips for getting started, I would say.
Okay.
I
wanted to say too, to look for multiple references, and that is not just like the internet and books. Those are great, but specifically talk to your local extension office. Where we are here in Northeast Florida, we have the University of Florida Extension Office, and I understand that this is something that most every area will have some sort of an extension office. And they put out a little graphic, an infographic every single month that says, hey, if you're in this area, like North, Central, and South Florida, these are the things that you can start from seed. These are the things that transplant well.
Yes.
And, this is what you can be looking to harvest. And so that's pretty helpful.
It is helpful to have that whole layout that somebody's done, because there might be something on there that you've never done before.
Right.
And you might not think about it because you get used to growing your same stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It is nice to be able to access information like that for new ideas.
Yeah. But more importantly than that, I say talk to your local growers. So if you've never gardened before and you're not sure where to begin and what to start, find somebody nearby.
Yes.
I mean, like in your vicinity who grows food, and ask them for help. Ask them for tips.
Yes.
See if you can shadow them. Ask them when do they start what, and that's going to be your best bet.
Yes, absolutely. Because, and you know what? They'll be happy to talk to you about it.
Oh,
too.
yeah. Any gardener.
We're like, what? You're interested in gardening? Oh, let me tell you all the things.
All the things. Yes. I agree.
Yep. So yeah, we're almost to the frost date, so it's almost time to start sowing some seeds. I actually put some carrots in the other day.
Oh.
I pulled a bunch of carrots.
I don't usually do carrots this late.
Yeah.
So tell me.
Well, I pulled up the extension office list, and it said on there, you can sow carrots in March in Northeast Florida.
Oh, cool.
And I'm like, yes, I'm going to put in more carrots, because I pulled a bunch and they were so beautiful. I love pulling carrots because you never know like what you're going to pull out of the ground,
Carrots and potatoes, right?
Yeah.
It's like a treasure hunt.
It is. It's super fun. My kids really like it too. And by kids, I mean like teenage boys. They even like think that that's exciting.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. But yeah, so I went ahead and I actually put the carrots where my tomatoes are planned to go.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to do, they say that carrots and tomatoes actually grow well together.
Okay.
You just can't get them too close.
Okay.
So after I sowed my carrots, you know how carrots come up. You'll have like a bunch in this area,
Right.
and then you'll have like a blank area. So I'm going to try to kind of plant my tomatoes how my carrots ended up coming up.
Okay.
And, but I will have to thin a lot of the carrots. So, but I was watching a YouTube video, the homesteading family.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
up north somewhere.
Northern Idaho.
Yeah, they do all the canning stuff.
Right.
They've got a good channel. I enjoy watching
I
them.
do too.
Yeah. They're super down to earth. So he did a video on sowing carrots, and he did the video because his kid was out there helping him, and his kid starts putting all these carrot seeds in the ground, and he thought his kid was doing it all wrong. He's like, oh, that's never going to work like that. It's like way too deep. You've got them way too covered. But he was like, but let's just leave them and see.
You're going to learn a lesson here, son.
Right. You're going to learn a lesson here, son. And so he sowed right beside his son, his way of sowing the carrot seeds.
Perfect, right?
Right. And his kids came up way better.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he did a video on how his kids sowed these carrot seeds. And so, my carrots usually do good, but I usually sow them almost a different way every time. I feel like I've tried every way to sow carrots and what's going to work the best.
Yeah, I think I have too.
They're very finicky.
They're very finicky. And if they are at all aged, if you have older
Right.
seeds, like if they are not just packaged.
Yeah, no, forget it.
Right. They just
Feed them to
don't
the
germinate.
chickens.
They just don't.
I tried this method, and what his kid did was he just made a trench that was 1/4 of an inch deep, and then he sprinkled the carrot seeds all in the trench, probably a little heavier than what you need to, but it's kind of nice to seed those heavy and then thin them. Mm-hmm. That way you make sure you have enough that comes up.
Right.
Since they are so finicky.
Right.
So he sprinkles the seeds in this trench, and then he got a really fine sand,
Okay.
and he covered the carrot seeds with just the sand only.
Okay.
and then watered them twice a day.
Wow.
And that's what I did, and they came up amazing.
I will try it. I
Yes.
haven't tried that.
Yeah, I know.
think I've tried every other way also. I've covered with burlap. I've used old sheets. I've used the
Cardboard.
board. I did cardboard last time.
Yep.
Which was okay.
Yeah.
And I've had some better years than others. I have sown in where I had a big bag of rabbit poop, like a feed bag size full of rabbit poop, and just put the seeds right into that poop.
Okay.
It wasn't composted or anything. And
Right.
that was, I think, probably my best year. But I'm excited to try something new.
Yeah.
So I'll give that a shot too.
Yeah, try the sand because that worked out really well. So another thing that I learned with carrots, when I was first learning how to sow carrots, I used to go out and buy that seed tape. It's like maybe a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch wide, and they've got seeds all inside this little strip of tape.
Right.
And you're essentially just planting the tape. But for me, it was helpful. I would do one row with the tape, and then my next row I would sew by hand, but I could see the exact spacing that they were using on the tape.
Oh, wow. I don't do that.
And then I did
pretty
that-
much just throw
I
the
know.
seeds out there.
I know. And so I did that the first year, but it actually worked out pretty well. So, but
Cool.
the seed tape is expensive.
It is a
so,
little pricey.
But it's one way to kind of help you learn early on if you need like a visual guide while you're doing it.
That is good.
It was helpful.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. So that's carrots. What about, so tomatoes is something that's a little different when you're putting them in the ground than anything else. Do you ever start seeds right in the ground that are tomatoes?
No.
I don't either.
No, but I brought in a bunch of manure. I brought in a bunch of cow manure like 2 years ago, and the cows had been, they were right on the edge of my pig pen, and I had been throwing tomatoes to all my pigs. Well, I ended up bringing a bunch of cow manure because a bunch of volunteer tomatoes came up. And anyways,
It's so funny. You never sow tomato seeds, but they volunteer more than anything
they
else.
volunteer more than anything else. And so, yeah, I brought in this cow manure into the garden, and I made this whole bed, and I had no kidding, like 200 tomato plants just come up in the garden. And I was like, okay,
That's
I
crazy.
guess I'll thin these and keep some of them.
I'm going to try. I'm going to try to just put some in the ground just to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the only issue would be potting them up. Like you might want to, they might not have as strong of a root system.
Right. So talk about that.
Yes. So tomatoes, I'll start them inside, and they start to get really tall and leggy, and they're looking way too thin and like they want to fall over. At that point, you want to take them out and put them in a bigger pot and really bury them in the dirt, like 2/3 of the way deep in the dirt. And so that usually happens pretty early on at
Pretty
about
quickly, like a week.
a week and a half.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly you need to pot them up. And then they're good for a while.
Right.
And then when I put them in the garden, I always do, whenever I dig my hole for my tomato in the garden, I do a mix of Epsom salt, eggshells, and worm castings. But this year, it won't be worm castings. It'll be sheep manure because I have a ton of sheep manure. I love the sheep for that reason right there.
Yeah.
It is ready-made fertilizer for your garden. And
Yeah.
with all of the crazy stuff going on with fertilizer.
Right. That's good stuff.
Yeah, it is good stuff. So I'll dig my tomato hole and do the mixture of manure, eggshells, and Epsom salt. I'll put a scoop of that in the tomato hole. And then again, you're burying the tomato like 2/3 of the way deep when you're putting it in the garden.
And guys, that looks really sad when you plant your 100 tomatoes. Okay, seriously, if you put your tomato plants out there and you plant, I bury them probably more than 2/3.
Yeah.
Like probably almost up to the leaves.
Yeah.
And in fact, a lot of times I have to break off the bottom leaves so they're not touching the ground.
Yes.
And so they look like just leaves sticking out of the ground. They don't look like I've grown anything at all.
It does. It goes from this big, nice tomato plant that you've started, and
Yeah.
it looks amazing, and it's getting tall and lush, and then you go and bury it almost all the way in the garden, and it looks like nothing.
It's tiny little baby plants, but that's
all
good.
all those little hairs, if you look at a tomato plant like really closely along the stem, you'll see a bunch of little hairs coming off of those stems. Well, a lot of those little hairs are eventually going to turn into roots if you bury the tomato deep enough and let them become roots.
Right.
So by burying it, you end up with a super strong plant.
Right. That's
Yep.
what you want.
Yep.
That is what you want.
Yep. And I would say if you're a beginner gardener, start with things that are going to be easy to grow.
Absolutely.
Your green beans, your cherry tomatoes. What else is easy for you?
Well, so bell peppers are pretty difficult.
Yeah.
They're like one of the harder things to grow here.
Yeah.
And honestly, like tomatoes are one of the harder things to grow here. I mean,
Slicer tomatoes, yes.
yes, but if you find a variety in what you like, so if you like tomatoes, cherry tomatoes are going to be your friend.
Yes.
Everglades tomatoes are a good
Yeah.
tomato to have here in Florida or anywhere where it's super hot and super muggy. But like peppers, we want peppers, but we don't do really great bell peppers, so we grow other varieties. So we find a good sweet pepper, a good banana pepper. We do well with hot peppers, some jalapenos, some habaneros. But last year I discovered shishito peppers.
Yes.
And they are extremely prolific. And
Nice.
so this year I will be growing all the shishito peppers.
Nice. And some of them are spicy.
So those were kind of funny. Yeah, like for the most part, they were not spicy, but then every now and then you'd get a
a hot
spicy
one.
one. Yeah, I was
Nice.
like, oh, that was a surprise. And not like habanero hot, not
Right.
crazy hot.
Right.
So yeah, I think finding you asked about what's easy to plant.
Yeah.
So
easy.
we're planting potatoes. Potatoes are super easy right now. Sweet potatoes are even easier. So when you find sweet potato slips in your big box stores, you can go ahead. They're pretty cheap. Plant those, and they will always produce.
I have never successfully done sweet potatoes.
Really?
Never.
That's
because
shocking.
every time I put them in the ground, the weeds completely take over.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, screw it. I'm not even messing with that.
Yeah,
So
they're
somewhere
super
I probably
easy.
have lots of sweet potatoes
You
in
must.
the ground.
You must. But yeah, they're pretty easy. Squash are on the more difficult side.
Yes, only because of the darn bugs.
The bugs, yeah.
And
You
the
have to
same
stay on
thing-
top of them.
Same thing with the cucumbers. Like
Yeah.
cucumbers are pretty easy to grow, but it's just the stupid bugs.
Yeah.
I'm bound and determined to have a good cucumber year this year because for several years I had cucumbers like coming out of my ears.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, no cucumbers. For like 2 or 3 years in a row.
Oh, crazy.
My cucumbers did awful.
Huh.
And so that's why I started cucumber seeds inside today, because
Okay.
I'm determined. I'm going to get them off to a better start.
Right.
And maybe that'll make a difference. Maybe it won't. I don't know. So
All right. Okra.
okra is so easy.
Yep.
And
Super
loves
easy.
the hot, dry weather.
Loves the hot. On the same note as okra, I started roselle 2 years ago. We grew roselle and it grew really well. It's in the same family. Super easy. Just kind of let it go.
Yeah.
Southern peas.
Southern peas, yes. I had a bag of zipper peas in the very back of my pantry that I pulled out today, that I gave up on shelling last year and just let them dry out on the countertop, and I put them in a bag. And this year I did not order zipper pea seeds because I knew that I had that bag. So I pulled that out this morning and actually started shelling those. And I think maybe later today I might do like a germination test on them to see like how viable they are. But I mean, I think they should be good. They all dried really nice.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. So, but if you're just starting out with gardening, yes, try to start your own seeds.
Yeah.
but be okay with going to the store and buying a plant.
Oh, absolutely. I still buy plants.
I still buy plants at the store, but for years I didn't do stuff from seed.
Right.
I always got stuff from the store, unless it was like a green bean.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So if you try to start your seeds and your seeds fail, it's not the end of the world.
No,
it's
it's
not
not
the end of the season. Ace Hardware will have plants for you.
Yes, they will. Yeah, and maybe it's just out of addiction. I don't know. But I will always buy seeds, or I will always buy plants, and I will always start some things from seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong there.
Yeah, no, there is no right or wrong there. And I think that's the key, is to do what feels comfortable for you at your home with your garden, and, start your garden where you're at.
I agree.
I
agree. Just plant.
Just plant.
Yeah.
If you can't do the big thing, do the small thing. Mm-hmm. And then maybe.
And if you can't do all the things, then pick 3 things.
Right. Then just pick a couple things. Pick a couple things and find something that you grow really well. And then stick with that. And then maybe next season you can find another thing that you grow really well.
Right.
And then eventually you'll have a handful of varieties that you're super familiar with and do well at your house.
I like it.
Yep.
All right. Well, happy gardening, friends. We hope
Yes.
you are in gardening mode like we are. We know that this will air a little bit later than our March 2nd date that we're recording, but we will still be in the throes of early gardening season, where we are in zone 8B. And if you are north of 8B, you're just getting started.
I think I'm actually a 9.
I think we're like 9A, 8B. Yeah. So
yeah, it's super close.
Yeah. So one thing real quick before we go, you need to know your zone.
Yes.
Your zone just tells you like what the lowest possible temperatures are for your area. And then in addition to that, you want to know your last frost date and your first frost date in the fall. And so you can do that with a quick Google search, Farmer's Almanac search, and put in your zip code. So where we are, our estimated last frost date is about 2 weeks out.
Yep.
But like we said in the beginning, I think we're over it.
Yes, we're over it. And I'm going to go ahead and start putting stuff in. But I'm also prepared if there is some rogue frost that comes in.
Right.
I'll be able to cover it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're not planting the entire garden yet. Maybe.
We'll see about
Who
that.
says? All right, friends. We hope you enjoyed, and we will talk to you next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.